the same breath, I do not deserve that, but it is certainly a kind mercy to even allow me in this forum of such progressive devotees, such as yourselves and all the devotees who are attending here, and of course, the great speakers who have come before me. So kindly excuse my utter incompetence in their comparison, but I will try my best. Hare Krishna. So thank you once again, all of you, as we explore this beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, and we're getting into the pastimes of Lord Krishna in Dwarka, specifically Lord Krishna teasing Queen Rukmini. So now, of course, we're at the point of the story where Queen Rukmini has been offering her prayers to Krishna. In a sense, she's teasing him back, but she's doing it in a completely different way. So let's see how that goes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 60, verse number 46. Astvam bhujaksha mamate charananuraga atmandratasya mai chanatirikta drishte yarhyasya vriddhaya upatara jyoti matro mamikshase taduhana paramanukampa. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O lotus-eyed one, though you are satisfied within yourself and thus rarely turn your attention toward me, please bless me with steady love for your feet. It is when you assume a predominance of passion in order to manifest the universe that you glance upon me, showing me what is indeed your greatest mercy. Okay, so this is a translation purport by followers of Srila Prabhupada. Purport. In text 20 of this chapter, Lord Krishna stated, always satisfied within ourselves, we care nothing for wives, children, and wealth. So this is a response. Here, Queen Rukmini Devi humbly replies, yes, you take pleasure within yourself and therefore rarely look at me. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that Lord Krishna had already declared his love for Rukmini. The earlier chapter 53, text 2, he says, Tataham apitat chitto nidram chanalabhe nishi. I'm also thinking about her, Rukmini. I'm also thinking about her, so much so that I cannot sleep at night. Lord Krishna is satisfied within himself. And if we remember that Srimati Rukmini Devi is his internal potency, we can understand that his loving affairs with her are expressions of his pure spiritual happiness. Here, however, Queen Rukmini humbly identifies herself with the Lord's external energy, which is her expansion. Therefore, she says, though you do not often look at me, when you are ready to manifest the material universe and thus begin to work through the material quality of passion, which is your potency, you glance at me. In this way, you show me your greatest mercy. Thus, Acharya Vishwanath explains that Goddess Rukmini's statement can be understood in two ways. And of course, the Vaishnavas, after thoroughly understanding the philosophy of Krishna from the bona fide acharyas, simply relish these loving affairs between the Lord and his exalted devotees. Purport ends here. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who has opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with transcendental knowledge. I further offer my obeisances to all of you, assembled Vaishnavas, and seek your kind permission and blessing that we may recite and read Srimad Bhagavatam together. So, here we see Rukmini Devi using the word Ambujaksha, O lotus-eyed one. She starts out with the glorification. You can see that she's not angry at Krishna. But she's teasing him back, and we'll see how that happens. Krishna teased her overtly, and she's teasing him back covertly, and winning his heart by expressing humility. You see, what does that mean? Well, if you're a humble person, or if you want to express humility, you can say something that is true, but even though it's true, you're identifying with an aspect of yourself that is almost like you're disregarding the major aspects of yourself. Like, for example, if there is a very rich man, billionaire, but somehow he also likes to, sweep the kitchen and clean the bathroom in his own house, right? And then some guests come, and then he's like, "Oh, welcome, welcome." And then he'll like, "Yeah, I'm just basically toilet cleaner and sweeper over here." But of course, he's also the owner and everything. So it's a way to show humility, the teasing way to show humility. You see? So she does that here by stepping down, assuming the position of the external energy of the Lord. See? Here, when she says, "Glance upon me, show me the greatest mercy." Because the external energy of the Lord, Mahamaya, who is her expansion, Krishna never touches her. The closest he comes to her is glancing upon her. And that glance is that act that impregnates the universe with the souls. And so she's giving a philosophical understanding of the creation of the universe. You see? And she's saying, that is the best I can hope to get from you, even though she's part of his internal circle as well. So it's very sweet. And she's expressing that in a form of a teasing, you can say. So our acharyas explain it this way, as you can see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explaining. Right here, she makes a point, although you are satisfied within yourself, in other words, you barely think of me because you're happy by yourself. Right? She says, we care nothing for wives, children, and wealth. But in the previous chapter, Krishna says, I can't even sleep. I can't stop thinking of this incredibly beautiful Rukmini. This is before, I think, they were married, right? And he wanted to go and kidnap her. So it's not true that Krishna is not obsessed with Rukmini Devi. And sometimes when I think, how is that possible? On one hand, he's saying he doesn't care anything for this external wives, children, wealth, and all these things. I'm just satisfied within myself. And on the other hand, he can't sleep. How to reconcile these two? And so Vishwanath Chakravarti reconciles that. He's saying that Queen Rukmini is part of his internal potency. Krishna is not concerned so much with external potency. See, so it's an interesting, and because she's part of internal, that is part of his universe of being satisfied within himself. she is part of that picture. She is his internal, his very self in that way. See? So that's something to keep in mind, you know. Now, we are in the middle of this incredible, intense exchange of loving words between Sri Krishna and Rukmini Devi. Krishna had teased her so much that really she should not have even married him. The other kings who had come to see her, they were so much better matched. They were so much more influential. They had so many more contacts. They're better looking, in fact. And they came to you. They came to you. Like they came to your palace. They came to get a match. And they're asking for a hand in marriage. And I didn't. You called me. I had to come drop everything I was doing, and I couldn't even. I wasn't invited to your sangha. And I had to kidnap you. It would have been better if you got married to them. Now, Queen Rukmini, being of the submissive type, she's quite different in personality from, say, Satyabhama, who's a very combative type. She'll be always fighting with Krishna. Everybody has a different personality. Some devotees or some people are just tend to want to fight all the time, and very easily they snap back. It's always on their tip of their tongue to snap at something. She's not like that. She was not the snapping back type. It's not in her nature. See, she would process this teasing internally. And because she took so much of that teasing, I'm not really good enough for you're saying. People who come to me it's just only paupers who come to me, akinchana. The really poor people. Those who are my devotees, they become poor. And those, if they're rich, I take their wealth away anyway. I'm known as Hari. So I make them poor if they happen to be rich to begin with. So I'm not a good person to be around. He's like really teasing her. It's not good for you. Why are you here? So she processes internally because of her nature. And because of that, she got in a state of shock and nearly fainted. It is described that some of her bangles also slipped off from her hands. Now, that can't normally happen, right? Because of bangles, right? But the shock actually shrunk her wrist and hands, and they just slipped off and fell, some of them. Now, remember at this point, Krishna and Rukmini were already grandparents. Not just parents, they were grandparents. Krishna had 10 sons and 1 daughter from each of his wives. And many of these children already grown up, and they had children of their own. And Rukmini is wondering, now you're telling me? After us becoming grandma and grandpa, now you're telling me to consider going and remarrying some of these other kings? What? So Krishna, all he wanted to do was to see the beauty of her frown. Just when you see that, intensify that love, and the face becomes red, the nose becomes red, and the smile drops. These are expressions of, it's a combined expression of anger and confusion mixed with love and frustration, and it just shakes somebody up. He wanted to see that. But she took it a little too seriously. She got into shock. And so Krishna had to console her and tell, look, hey, look, in household life, teasing is just one of the pleasures. Who else can I tease other than the one I really love? Of course I love you. Don't worry, it's okay. Just chill, just joking. I'm just joking, okay? So then she decided, okay, I'll offer prayers back to him. I'll offer some prayers to him. And maybe I'll do a little teasing myself. But of course, her teasing is very, very subtle. It's not so overt. In today's verse, you see she's doing a little bit of that. She is once again shining in her submissive, humble. See, that's her strength. Submissive, humble sweetness. Taking a lower role in her own expansion in the form of Mahamaya or Durga Devi. So here we see there's Queen Kunti. Queen Rukmini. And Krishna is kind of just leaning back and watching her as her face droops. She stopped fanning him, by the way. She has no energy to even fan him. She's looking so sad, And Krishna, seeing this, he wanted to see this beauty. She's looking down. The bangles in her left hand are just about to fall off as she's getting into this shock. Krishna is momentarily enjoying that joy. This is seen. This is seen even in ordinary dealing. Sometimes we tease, and it's fine. And different people respond to that teasing differently. See? So Queen Rukmini, she's really also kind of, it's an enjoyment too. I may think, how is it an enjoyment? You see, the nectar of devotion expands upon the different rasas tremendously, that even this kind of getting into shock, getting into fear, but all with Krishna's relationship in the center, these are all different forms of ecstasy. They're all different flavors of tastes of loving exchange. She's like, I'm sorry you feel like that way about me. Maybe you're right, and so on. And then so she gets in this mood. Now, if Krishna were to do this with Satyabhama, who is a more direct expansion of Srimati Radharani, she has that Radharani's mood of fighting and man. She would be really upset and angry at him and really give him some heavy sauce. But Rukmini Devi doesn't do it that way. She's more of the milder version. See? Now, Rukmini Devi uses a very beautiful word in the verse. She says, Mam ikshase tad uhana paramanukampa. Parama means the highest. You're giving me the highest. Anukampa, mercy. You're showing me your highest mercy. Now, anukampa, I might have explained this in the past. There's another famous verse, Tattenu kampam sasamikshimana. So anukampa means highest mercy. Mercy. But anukampa means literally, kampa means trembling. So we tremble sometimes when we get emotional, when we get fearful, or even any kind of emotion. Sometimes, if it's a strong emotion, our body trembles. If something gets taken away from us, we tremble. We get upset. When Krishna shows us mercy by being with us at that time, and he also trembles with us, anukampa, to tremble along with, in following with you. What does that mean? When someone is there with you, suppose you're going through some shock, say someone has passed away in the family, and someone comes to console you, and you are crying, and that person is also crying, and you are shivering, and that person also shivers, feeling your pain. That is called anukampa. So Krishna resonates. He is so close, he's in our heart. And to show that level of mercy, that I am there with you, my dear child, my dear soul, you're very dear to me. Yes, I feel your pain. That is the level of mercy that Krishna shows. Not just he's sitting on his big throne and looking down upon us, and we're like begging, please, my Lord, free me from this pain. All right, I shall free you from this pain. No, I am down there with you. You're feeling the pain I'm feeling with you. I will do it. I will help you to come out of this. It's amazing. So we have to wait for Krishna's anukampa as devotees. And what does that mean, to wait? Does it mean just to sit in a chair? No, no, no. Tatte anukampam samikshmano. Punjanevat makritam vipakam. Hrid vag vapur bhir vidadhan namaste. Jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhag. We say we wait. It means we continue to offer Hrid vag vapur with our heart, with our words, with our body. Obeisances to Krishna. Vidadhan namaste. Complete obeisances. You serve him. In spite of the pains of the reactions of our own misdeeds, we continue to serve the Lord. Then we deserve his anukampa. And the Lord comes. Amazing, my dear devotee. In spite of all these incredible miseries that you're going through, you're still bowing down to me. You're still chanting my name. You're still my devotee. I'm with you, my child. That is anukampa we wait for, you see. So here, Rukmini Devi, she uses that word. And she starts out by glorifying the beauty of the Lord. Astu Ambujaksha. Ambujaksha means lotus-eyed Lord. And what does she pray for? She prays for steadiness in her devotional service. Charana Anuraga. Please bless me with steady love for your lotus feet. Amazing. This is basically a practical demonstration of that Tatte Anukampa verse, where she is going through some pain. Of course, it's all transcendental pain, but regardless. And she says, my Lord, please keep me steady at your lotus feet, that my consciousness remains pure, fixed. Show me that Anukampa. And then she takes the humbler role of Maya Devi, you know. So who is this? What is this glance? She says this, you show this glance. This glance of the Lord is when Lord Vishnu glances upon Durga Devi. Now this Durga Devi, Mahamaya, or Parvati, you can say, is an expansion of Rukmini. Yeah? So here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a verse, Madhya Lila 20-73. It says, Svanga Vishesha Bhasa Rupe Prakriti Sparshana Jiva Rupa Bija Tate Kaila Samarpana. Here it says, to impregnate with the seeds of the living entities. The Lord himself does not directly touch the material energy, but by his specific functional expansion, he touches the material energy. And thus the living entities who are his parts and parcels are impregnated into material nature. And then purport Prabhupada explains how in the Gita there's Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, that these conditioned living entities, they are my eternal fragmental parts. See? And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita verse, it says Prakriti Sparshana. This refers to the Lord's glancing over material nature and placing the living entities in contact with matter. Now, this glancing is performed by Mahavishnu. See? And Prabhupada explains, in this conditioned state, we impregnate according to bodily conception, that is by sexual intercourse. But the Supreme Lord does not need sexual intercourse to impregnate. The impregnation is performed simply by his glance. And this is explained in Brahma Samhita, Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vritti Manti. That he can impregnate simply by glancing, is Govinda, Govinda Madi Purusham. In other words, his eyes can work in the form of any other function. He does not need genitals to beget a child. Indeed, Krishna can beget any one of the living entities with any part of his body. See? So in the Brahma Samhita, it's explained this glance is personified as Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, who is another form of Mahavishnu, is like yogurt. Yogurt is nothing but milk, yet it is not milk. Similarly, Lord Shiva is considered the father of this universe, and material nature is considered the mother. The father and mother are known as Lord Shiva and Goddess Durga. Together, Lord Shiva's genitals and Goddess Durga are worshipped as Shivalinga. This is the origin of material creation. Therefore, we see these temples of Lord Shiva, there's a Shivalinga, symbolic of this impregnation. In other words, Lord Shiva is neither the Supreme Personality of Godhead nor a living entity. He is the form through which the Supreme Lord works to beget living entities within this material world. As yogurt is prepared when milk is mixed with the culture, the form of Lord Shiva expands when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in touch with material nature. This impregnation of material nature by the Father, Lord Shiva, is wonderful because at one time innumerable entities are sent into the universe. Okay? So the thing to understand here in today's verse is that, yes, there's an exchange of love. And Queen Rukmini, while teasing back and taking a humble position, he's also making a very important philosophical point. And she says, I'm now as a part of separated energy, where you don't even touch me directly. You touch me indirectly with your glance. And that too is incredibly merciful for me. This is a form of mercy. You see? Now, what does that mean to be separated? Because both these energies are actually Krishna's energies. And in one sense, of course, the material energy is known as the inferior energy, and the spiritual energy is known as superior energy. And that's a fact. The inferior energy is not the actually manifestation of the inferior energy, like this rocks and wood and things like that. They're not cognizant. They're not alive. So in that sense, it's superior inferior. But Prabhupada explains that ultimately, because all the energies are Krishna's energies, so you have Durga Devi and you have Rukmini Devi. Energy is energy from absolute point of view, like electricity. And the analogy Prabhupada uses, electricity is used, you can use it to heat your house, you can use it to cool your house. And depending on how you use it, it manifests differently. So it depends on how Krishna's energy is utilized. The effect is seen differently, you see. So therefore, the understanding is that all these energies are worshipable in their proper context. See, so when we worship Lord Krishna as Dwarkadish, then we worship alongside with him Rukmini Devi, because that's the particular form and aspect of energy that Krishna is paired with at that time. When we worship the Supreme Lord as Lord Ram, Lord Ramachandra, then we worship him along with Srimati Sita Devi, who is also the superior energy, but paired with him according to that particular expression of love, the rasa. And similarly, we worship, Vrindavan Krishna along with Srimati Radharani, who are the highest, the ultimate, Samam Bonam. See, and Srimati Radharani is our real boss. And we worship her. See? So, this is a nice, sweet section of the Bhagavatam where we can examine deeply how much humility even Queen Rukmini, who's the topmost of all the 16,108 queens, is expressing so much sweet humility while also feeling the impact of being teased so intensely by Krishna. And while she's expressing that humility, she's also offering prayers of love by showing how beautiful, by expressing how beautiful Krishna's eyes are. Ambujaksha. Ambujaksha means lotus-eyed. Ambu means water. Ambuja, ja means janma, is born from the water. So what is born from the water is the flower, lotus flower. Ambuja aksha, aksha means eyes. So Your eyes are like the flower that's born from the water. It's a very beautiful, Sanskrit is so beautiful. You can just take it apart and see the beauty in it. My Lord, you're so beautiful. Please show me your mercy. Please keep me fixed at your lotus feet. So that is prayer for us to always ask the Lord. We start out by glorifying how beautiful he is, by showing that we appreciate his beauty. And then we ask for benediction, that please keep me steady at your lotus feet. And then she takes another humble step, saying that it's only by your mercy that you glance at me, and that is the highest aspect of your love, compassion for me. So thank you very much, as we'll continue discussing more of these tomorrow and so on. But we can have some time now to have any exchanges, any comments and so on. If anybody wants to share your thoughts. I see there are some comments on the chat that I have not seen yet. Okay. But if anybody else wants to unmute, okay, let's see. Okay, Prashant Prabhu says, is it possible Rukmini took it so seriously to give Krishna as what he desired to get a reaction? So in that, Rukmini never for a moment doubted her correct choice, but seeing that Lord wants to play with her, she decided to play along by showing a reaction, fainting. It is certainly possible. However, what we see is that in these divine exchanges, the feelings are very real. Like she really gets into the shock. It's not a pretend feeling. You see, when Krishna is running away from Mother Yashoda, the little toddler, he is still controller of the entire universe. But the fear that he feels from that stick is very real. Right? It says in Namadhara Ashtakam, Satanka Netram. Right? Satanka Netram means Krishna's eyes are full of terror when he sees the stick and Mother Yashoda running after him. The real tears coming down his eyes. Not fear. Atanka. Atanka means sa-atanka. Atanka means terror. Like the Atankavadi means terrorist. We know that. Satanka netram, his eyes are filled with terror. He's terrified. It's a real feeling. It's an intense feeling. You may say, yes, it is lila, it is play, but he gets into it to enjoy that feeling. So similarly, Queen Rukmini gets into it. She actually feels it. And Krishna then gets a real kick out of it. And then, of course, she responds. And she gets a kick out of it. And it's just kicks all the time in the spiritual world, you see. Because there's no real fear in spiritual existence. There's no fear of dying. There's no fear of losing out any possession or anything, because there's no real fear for spiritualists and for devotees and for the Lord. So everything is lila, but it's very real. The feelings are very real. It's kind of inconceivable. All right. And then Prashant Prabhu had another question. You said you're a bit confused about Brahma being the creator and the life he started, and then why at the same time? Yes. So this is important to know. It's a good question, because Brahma is credited as being the creator among the three. You see, Lord Vishnu is the maintainer, Lord Shiva is the destroyer. So why is he coming now in the picture, right? And then Brahma is the one who's created. What's going on? So yes, it is a little confusing. So what happens? The universe gets created. Okay, and the creation process described in Bhagavatam. And then the souls get moved in. Like you take a bus, right? Imagine you make an apartment, a complex. Or maybe a better analogy was you build a prison house. Okay, that's probably a better analogy. And then you bring and they're being transferred, and the prisoners all come in one bus. Okay, so the transportation, bringing the prisoners into the prison house, that is Lord Shiva. That's the glance. Okay, that's the bus that goes in. The architect and the engineer of the prison house itself, who puts the buildings together and makes sure the plumbing is working, that is Lord Brahma. See, so he's the creator of that. He's more, you can say, that's why it's called a secondary creator. The ingredients, the blueprints, and the ability to create are given to Lord Brahma by Lord Krishna. They're handed to him, those three things: ingredients, the blueprints, and the technology, I mean, the skills, the abilities, the training, all that is given to Brahma, who does the actual work. That will make him the secondary creator, you see. And he gets the credit because he's the one who does the work. But ultimately, it's Krishna who is the only creator. Similarly, then when the population of the universe takes place and Krishna glances, okay, time to move in, that's also Krishna, but that impregnation takes the form of Lord Shiva. See? So that's why it can get a little confusing, but there's different steps to it, and each different personality gets the credit for the steps, right? Okay. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Vanisha Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What is our, just continuing the question that Prashant had, what is our role in that? I mean, we as spirit souls wanted to be glanced at, at some points you hear that we are here because we had desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, and then at other times it feels sort of like we were just particles that were wrapped up in this tidal wave of a glance that impregnated my what is our, literally, our spirit soul's position in that equation, if you will?
Actually, our position is huge. It's big. It's like the prisoner asking, what is my role in the creation of this prison? Well, you are the reason we have the prison. You see what I'm saying? We are the very reason why this creation took place. Of course, the whole project of building this massive prison house that can hold 800,000 prisoners or whatever it is, big one. It's a big undertaking. It involves so much. It calls scouting the right sites, make sure there's enough security, make sure the right people are in place, the superintendents are going to be hired, and make sure the plumbing is working and they get enough light and electricity. It's like huge, so many people are involved in the whole thing. But the prisoners are the reason for it. So we are the reason for this existence of this material world. We meaning our misguided or unfortunate choice to enjoy separately from Krishna, and therefore developing a whole construct to accommodate that desire. That is what this material manifestation is, which is why, even though it is Krishna's energy, it is known as his external energy. Why would he separate his own energy? Why would he call separated energy? Why would he call it external? Why would he call it inferior? If it's all Krishna's energy, why should there be inferior and superior? Even that inferiority of that energy is really a reflection of the inferiority of our original choice to turn away from the Lord. That's not a superior choice, it's a poor choice. But it's our choice, it's our freedom. It's the very foundation of our existence. And the foundation of our existence here is actually this thing known as self-deception. We are deceiving ourselves into thinking we can enjoy separately from Krishna. And we continue to deceive ourselves. So when we read about the building of the universe by Lord Brahma, the foundational layer is not made of concrete. The foundational layer is made of self-deception. That is the basis on which the universe sits. See, it's a very subtle thing, but that is the reason why the universe exists, this material universe. We are the reason, and so to accommodate our various desires, our various flavors, while also making it conducive to come out, Krishna creates this incredibly perfect system. It's perfect. Everything about this creation is perfect. It says Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Everything that comes out from the Lord is perfect and complete. You might think, oh, how can I be perfect? There's so much imperfection around me, so much misery. My own life is so imperfect. My own teeth are so crooked. What's perfect about this creation you're talking about? No, it's perfect for what it's meant for. It's a feature, not a bug. You know, what we call imperfection. All right. Does it help, Venetia?
Yes, thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Madhangopal Prabhu, wonderful class. Thank you. Can we talk about the origins of the jiva, please, since you're here?
It always comes around, this question. Yeah. And this question is a very loaded question. There have been incredible, say, debates on it. Thick books have been published on two sides of the debate. So in the next 2.5 minutes, it's kind of hard to do it much justice. You see, the question itself is wrong. Sometimes you ask a question. Like one time someone asked Prabhupada, some reporter had come at the end of the press conference, he'd missed the whole thing. So he'd come running, stuck a microphone in Prabhupada's faces. Excuse me, sir, what makes you different from other Buddhists? So you see, the question itself has an inference, as if, when you ask a question, it shows that you didn't quite understand. No. And Prabhupada didn't say, no, we're not Buddhists, we're actually part of the Hindu branch. He didn't say that, no. He said, we have nothing to do with this Buddhism or this Hinduism or Christianity. We're simply telling the truth. And if you're truthful, you'll accept it. He destroyed the whole question itself. So the question is, what is this origin of the jiva? The jiva, by definition, is something that has no origin. So then the question itself is moot. It's originless. Krishna himself describes the jiva like that. We are anadi ananta. We are without beginning. We are without end. Krishna says there's never a time when you did not exist, nor me, nor all these kings. Natveva ham jatuna, some chapter 2, text 12. Natvam neme janadipa. So the question itself is not correct. Because Krishna says there's never a time it didn't exist. And then you say, how did I come into being? What is the origin of the jiva? No, there's no coming into being. Usually you have a father, you have a daughter and son like that. So then the father came before the son. Krishna didn't come before us. We're the same age as Krishna. Yeah. That's something to think about. As to how we end up in this world, we can talk about on the other side. Hare Krishna.
We're here because of Venetia's choice. I got that.
Yes. We all owe it to Venetia. Thank you, Venetia.
Bhagavatam samasitam purasundarangam Andaragavago digamaniya visheshasvabha Govinda Paritusham Tamam Bhajami Govinda Paritusham Bhajami Govinda Paritusham Bhajami Angaya Sakala Pritimanti Tasyanti Bhanti Karyanti Hiram Jaganti Anandachimaya Sadhu Charaniyasya Govinda Sasya Govinda Hari Purusha
Jai Shri Shri Radha Muridhar, Shri Guru Chandra, Ki Jai. Thank you, Jani Tai Prabhu, for the darshan. You're the best cameraman, camera jiva. Madan Gopal Prabhu, do you have a few minutes for the afterglow?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm right here.
Jai, Jai. Damodar Priya, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Madan Gopal Das Prabhu. Thank you as always for your classes. I love how you share artwork and as always, like how you sing the Sanskrit as well. I was wondering if we could touch upon the theme of compassion that you brought up with that beautiful word anukampa. I was wondering about the relation between anukampa or compassion and devotional service, as in like Vaishnava care, because that's kind of come up in conversations a lot. And I was just wondering if you could build on that and at all, or if it's not enough of a question.
No, this is a very good question. And it is a very pertinent question. It's a very relevant question to our practice, a relevant question to our organization. And it applies to all aspects of our practice, internal, external, managerial, everything. It's a perfect question. I will address that question. However, I did want to answer the previous question, which I didn't answer. I did the political non-answer, right? So I did want to address it, at least not answer, at least address from what I understand. So Srila Prabhupada had said this, that we never had any occasion when we were separated from Krishna. And he uses the Srimad Bhagavatam analogy of a dream to explain how this illusion of separation arises. See, and he also explains how it is possible for even a liberated soul to become illusioned. So he says, our separation from Krishna is like that. We dream this body and so many relationships with other things. First, the attachment comes to enjoy sense gratification. Even when we are with Krishna, the desire for sense gratification may be there. There is a dormant attitude for forgetting Krishna and creating an atmosphere for enjoying independently. Then he continues, he says, we cannot say, therefore, that we are not with Krishna. As soon as we try to become the Lord, immediately we're covered by Maya. Formerly, we were with Krishna in his Leela or his sport. But this covering of Maya may be of a very, very, very long duration. He uses 4 times, very long. Therefore, in the interim, many creations are coming and going. And due to this long period of time, it is sometimes said that we are eternally conditioned or ever conditioned, because when it's so long, relatively speaking, it just seems an eternity. This long duration of time becomes very insignificant when one actually comes to Krishna consciousness. So you can see this turning point of our life in Krishna consciousness is of huge significance. After trillions of years, we've got this opportunity. And so we want to take it so seriously. We have a ladder now to come out. Am I still going to continue to mess around with the distractions that I've been messing around with for trillions of years? No, ladder is now here. Let me take it. Let me grab it. You know, the rope ladder that coming down from a helicopter finally is here. It's Krishna conscious process. And so, yes, it's our way to come out. It's our misuse of our independence. We know all those words. But this is the way Srila Prabhupada explains it. So whether you take it like in that sense, it's the dream. So Bhagavatam uses that analogy quite a bit. Prabhupada highlights it. So we can consider it like that, you know. All right. I won't talk much more on that anymore. Prabhupada did say, don't waste your time talking too much about it because it can be confusing. How can we have been so stupid to make that decision? So on. You know, those things are always there. But Prabhupada explains it. You know, we always have that access to our free will. We always have access to stupidity, if you will. It's one of the services that we have access to. And we have taken advantage of it, unfortunately. So, yes, Karthik Prabhu is expressing, first of all, Ishopanishad always confused me. Thanks for answering my long-standing question. Are imperfection the perfect feature of our existence, not a bug? That's right. Okay, great. Now coming back to the question of compassion and how Krishna shows it and what we can learn from it in our own application of ourselves, our own devotional service and devotee care in general. So, Krishna cares for us enough that even after we have thrown a tantrum, stamped our feet, walked out the door, and slammed the door in his face, that he's still with us. That's how much he cares for us. But not with us so much in our face that we can't get rid of him. You see, he's there with us in our heart, but he's taking a humble position. What do I mean by humble position? Humble position means he's not pushing himself on us. He's not like, come on, take me. No. He wants to give us our space to continue our tantrum for a trillion more lifetimes, or as long as we want. But he's still with us in the heart, being that soft, gentle voice that nudges us when we have to make certain decisions. You know, that conscience, we call it. He does take that role. And when we're debating whether should I take another puff of that intoxicant or should I give it up now? It's had enough of it, and let me clean up my life and try to do something higher. Then here's that voice that encourages, yes, good choice. That is that soft voice of Krishna, the conscience, we can call it. By the way, he is also a super soul. He's the one that keeps us functioning. The super soul in the heart is the one that does all the thinking that requires just to keep us functioning and all that. And he guides our wanderings, our random movement, our seemingly random movements. That's why we heard so many stories of how devotees just happened to walk this way, that way, and he came to contact. You know, before they're devotees and they came into contact. They were not going to go that way, but they somehow came into contact. The random wanderings. Krishna says in the Gita, Brahmayan sarvabhutani. Brahmayan means random wanderings. I direct them sitting in their heart. All the answers are there in the Gita. You just have to read it. So Krishna cares for us so much that he's with us in our ups and downs. He cares for us so much. And when we become advanced in our own devotional service, our nature becomes like that of Krishna. Krishna says, Madbhavam. Madbhavam means comes to my nature. So of course you attain Krishna's presence, but you also attain Krishna's qualities of compassion. That's why the Guru, the Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, and all the Acharyas in our line, they are a manifestation of Krishna's mercy, his compassion. And sometimes they describe that the guru is even more compassionate than Krishna. How is that possible? How can a mortal, a person who's a jiva, be more than Krishna? How is that possible? Isn't that almost like heresy, an offense to Krishna to say that the guru is more compassionate than you? But Prabhupada says it. Prabhupada explains it in his purport. And I'll tell you why, how it's possible. Okay. It's not that the guru is more intense in his compassion than Krishna. You think Krishna's compassion or intensity is less? No. It's nothing less about Krishna. And yet the guru's compassion is more. I'll tell you why. You see, as part of the agreement of our tantrum, the Lord has promised that he won't interfere with our free will. He's given a vow. He's given his word. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've made this room for you, this material world you enjoy. I'm not interfering. In fact, I'm creating it because you wanted it, and I'm not gonna, slow down your ambitions of whatever you want to do. Right? I'm not gonna come in the way of your free will. I'm not gonna disturb you. In fact, he tells Arjuna, don't disturb these people. You know that verse in Bhagavad Gita, he says, don't disturb these people who are trying to enjoy. Just fine, let them be. And in that purport, Prabhupada says, yes, Krishna says don't disturb, but the devotee knows the heart of Krishna. And the devotee goes and disturbs them. Because he knows it'll please Krishna to shake up these people, wake them up. Come on, you guys are being so moronic. Look at this, what you're missing out. I discovered Krishna consciousness and I woke up. You wake up, please. Krishna will not do the shaking. The devotee has not taken that vow. We have not signed any contract with other jivas to not interfere with them. We are meant to disturb them. Therefore, we are playing that role of sharing Krishna consciousness with others. And when the guru gives Krishna consciousness to others with a great deal of intensity sometimes, therefore, Prabhupada says the guru is more compassionate than Krishna because he hasn't taken that vow. Okay, so with that being said, how do we manifest that compassionate, anukampa nature of Krishna when we are, one, developing our own Krishna consciousness, and two, sharing with others? So, of course, there are many universal things that we want to do. Golden rule being, we treat others like we would like to be treated. That in itself is a great step in offering compassion to others. If I like to be treated nicely, if someone comes, when I go to the Bhakti Center, and from the very beginning, I'm treated so wonderfully, like I'm the perfection of that person's existence, that I even came through the door. And we feel it. I mean, sometimes I come in, and the devotee at the reception is so happy to see me. She's never seen me before. I'm like, oh, I might be so handsome. No, actually, I know I'm not that handsome, but she's just so happy to see me, Bhima Prabhu is asking, when does class have to, why does class have to end? It's a good question. Bhima Prabhu is very kind. So then I realized, wow, we should feel happy about seeing another jiva soul. When we feel happy about seeing another jiva, it's wonderful. And that person feels so happy. Krishna is happy to see us too. That's the first step of devotee care. There are offenses, right? We know this concept of offenses. So there's a list of offenses toward devotees. Like we have a list of offenses to the holy name. There's a list of offenses to devotees, Vaishnava Prat. One of the offenses is to not feel happy upon seeing another Vaishnava. It's actually listed like that. To not feel happy. I mean, you should feel happy. Forget about showing it. You should actually feel happy. And then, of course, you show it in different ways. Hare Krishna Prabhu, you drop everything you're doing. Please come have a seat. You offer, because you haven't seen them in weeks. Come have a seat. You've come to my home. Can I give you some water? What's going on? How can I serve you? So devotee care starts with treating somebody like how you'd like to be treated. And the part of that is you feel happy when they see you. So we feel happy when they see them, when we see them, and so on. And then everything else takes care of itself. And we take care of ourselves. There's self-care. There's we don't want to burn ourselves out. by having an imbalanced life, too much of one thing, too little of another thing. Krishna teaches self-care in chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. I'm telling you, everything is there in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, one who doesn't eat too much, or one who eats too much or too little, one who sleeps too much or too little, he can't progress in yoga practice. That's self-care. The one who is balanced and moderated in his eating, sleeping, and what we call recreation, which is like exercise, that sort of thing. Then you will, if you're doing that, then you will mitigate all pains. That's self-care. See, so if we can facilitate self-care for us and facilitate that sort of care for others, like Krishna says, one who doesn't eat too much or doesn't eat too little. Of course, I focus more on the too little part, that I shouldn't eat too little. That's very important for me. But the self-care concept is there embedded in Bhagavad Gita. One who feels the pain of others by dint of our own experience. So then this anukampa comes, now we come to this word anukampa, that we feel the struggle and pain of others because we felt it ourselves. If I've always had a very successful career, say in the corporate world, suppose, and I've always had a good job, and I've always gotten, regularly gotten promotions and, increments and so on. And then if someone else is going through some setback in their professional life, I may not be able to feel the pain. But if I've also been laid off brutally and crushed by it, and then maybe some years later, another friend goes through the same thing, I feel his pain a lot more. That's the difference between sympathy and empathy. So devotees cultivate empathy. Sympathy is just the beginning step. Sympathy means you feel sorry for them. Empathy means you feel their pain. You feel it. You actually, you tremble with it. There is a song by a famous Gujarati Vaishnava. His name is Narsi Mehta. And that song was made more famous by Mahatma Gandhi, who would sing. He says, Vaishnava jan tene kahiye, je peed parai jane re. Peed parai means a Vaishnava is that person who who feels the pain of others. Paradukha dukhi, paradukhe dukhi. We've seen that also. So paradukhe dukhi means not just who knows the pain, but who feels it, who's actually saddened. So when we are at that level where we tremble with others, then we are now beginning to see Krishna's style. Because for him to respond to our pain, he comes down to our level. Paradukha dukhi, that's correct, yes. So we start with that. And devotee care and, and self-care starts and ends with that. Everything else is just details. As an organization, we can also get carried away by our projects, that things need to get done. And in the heat of that, especially in the mode of passion when doing it, it's very easy to hurt somebody or to be rough with somebody. And so we have to be careful in that. Prabhupada has written many letters on that. He says, don't burn devotees out. Don't do so much project, such a big project that you can't do it. You break everybody's spirit. Rather, we should use this as an opportunity to build the devotees' devotional service. See this as, just engage them in simple devotional service. Whatever you can do, So the idea that we use people to build the projects should be flipped over. We use the project as an excuse or a framework to build our people, to strengthen the people. The people are the actual project. Our devotees who are with us, they're the rare souls, So if we can approach it from that angle, and then if we are, say, policymakers or temple leaders at any level, we can be implementing that idea that let us first be in touch with the devotees' real needs. Let us try to create an environment where there is an abundance of encouragement and love. Because the world out there is discouraging and unloving enough. We don't need to provide that here. Our service, our flagship product, I've said many times, is encouragement and love. That's our product. That's what people come here for, you know. So if that is there reposed in Krishna consciousness, that is there reposed with the sweet nectar of the holy names, Krishna's amazing pastimes, like this exchange of love with Queen Rukmini. It is so amazing and satisfying and sweet. You'll not find that anywhere else. You'll not find that even in a professional recitation of this story. No. Or in a Hollywood movie about it. No, it'll find it in the midst of devotees whose hearts are moved by these pastimes. See, so that is our charter, so to speak, to develop ourselves that way, to strengthen our own faith, to dive deep into this pond of nectar that we have, and realize it's an ocean, to dive, to drink deep from the well of spirituality, and to share that nectar with others in a framework of compassion, anukampa. Hare Krishna.
Wow, what a class. A class like that does not have to end, like our resident poet said, Bhima Prabhu. Thank you, Madam Gopal Prabhu. I felt like I benefited and got encouragement from every word. Every word. Thank you so much. Wow. Bhima
Thank
Prabhu
you.
says, I'm sold. Where do I buy what Madam Gopal has? Yeah, how do we access to what you have access to, Madam Gopal Prabhu? Where are you getting
Yeah.
all that?
Yeah, you'll find it on 25 First Avenue in New York. That's
Yeah,
that's the store.
yeah, yeah. By 10 and 16 rounds, Prashant says. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
The 16 is where it's at. Yeah, the sweet 16, you call it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you again for your kind mercy and engaging me in your service, and look forward to spending more time with all of you again soon. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Madam Gopal Prabhu ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sweet 16 rounds every day ki jai. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful Sunday. Give it to Krishna. Chant, dance, feast, and come again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.